Hey everyone, this is Haileys from Cartooniverse, and today I finally want to talk about stuff that we learned from San Diego Comic-Con. And I went to the convention, but unfortunately I didn't get into the panel for seniors because there was a huge line, and I got there way too late for that. But anyways, we learned a lot about Lars from the clip, and now he is a space pirate and captain of the Off-Colors, so I really want to know what's in store for him. Now, I have heard a rumor that soon Lars will cease to be in the show at all. And if that's true, how can this be? Surely he doesn't die, as he's already died once in the show, and that would kind of be, well, overkill, if you might say that. But if he does, leave the show, how does that happen? That's what I want to know, and I am going to talk about in today's video. And if there's one thing I do know, it's that Steven Universe loves to reference anime. It has referenced anime like Dragon Ball and Evangelion, and many other classic ones. Rebecca Sugar even admitted to basing Blue Diamond off of some designs from an anime creator named Leiji Matsumoto. Sorry if I say any of these names wrong in the video, I'm not Japanese, so I might get some of the pronunciation wrong, but I'm trying. I made a video about this and what character Blue Diamond might be and what she's based off of, as well as the potential redemption arc for her. So I'll link that video in the description below because I think it's a really great one that, really shows how much Steven Universe could be referencing from other sources. So then, what about Lars? Well, the first thing that jumped to my mind was the fact that he might be based off the character Captain Harlock. This is another character from the creator Leiji Matsumoto. And basically Harlock is a space pirate with a scar on his right eye and has a similar coat to Lars. And so those things together make them look really similar, which is kind of weird how much the show likes to reference other shows, like anime. But, this is really cool, especially since this is not the first time that Rebecca Sugar has directly been inspired by Leiji Matsumoto. An interesting thing about Captain Harlock is that he is often associated with death and even uses a skull with crossbones as his symbol. So, who has died before? Well, that would be Lars. So that is already a connection right there, disregarding the clothes and other things that they have in common, like the scar. And one thing I noticed was maybe a connection is that they both make a gesture with their hands a lot. I don't know, that could just be something. So the question remains, will Lars' fate match that of Captain Harlock's? Perhaps, but Captain Harlock has been in so many different series that there are so many continuity issues between them, so I'll be picking and choosing which series I'm talking about because a lot of them kind of mess each other up and, well, it doesn't always work out if you put all of them into account. In addition, I haven't watched a lot of these series, or actually any at all, because of course there are just so many, so I'll be relying on some outside sources for my information. Now let's first take a look at the wiki article for Captain Harlock and what it has to say. It says that he is the captain of a pirate ship along with a crew of varying characters. Things change with every iteration, but he often has his best friend Tochiro with him. And on their adventures, they actually stole a ship called the Death Shadow and set out for the cosmos. On their journey, they encountered the war with the Machine Empire, as well as the sisters fighting against them, Esmeraldas and MYKAL, themselves former supporters until leaving their homeworld behind. Harlock and Tochiro did their parts in ending the Machine Empire's quest for conquest. Several years later, Harlock would captain a new vessel, the Arcadia, a ship engineered by Tochiro sometime before Tochiro's death. At one point, he also lost his right eye. Deciding to continue his travels in memory of Tochiro, Harlock gathers a motley crew of 40, including his first mate Yataran, a psychic alien woman he encountered on Jura named Mime, as well as Keiyuki. And of course, just from this little excerpt right there, we have a couple of interesting points. So first off, we see that a character in one of the shows is named Esmeraldas. And there's another one named MYKAL, which Esmeraldas is obviously most likely Emerald, and MYKAL, which I have talked about in my other video, is Blue Diamond. So if Esmeraldas and MYKAL were both supporters of their homeworld until they left it behind, then this could kind of be paralleling a potential thing for Emerald and Blue Diamond to themselves defect from homeworld and get a redemption arc of sorts. And another thing which I mentioned was that Captain Harlock loses his right eye, which really mirrors Lars getting a scar on his right eye, when he got hit by the rock. He hit up against the rock and he kind of died then, yeah. So in this instance, I believe Harlock got shot and he lost his right eye, and he wears a patch, but you can see a scar that goes across his face, and it's mainly on his right eye. That might be a little bit different, the scar versus the patch, but the right eye is really center point right there, I guess, of attention that you should pay attention to for parallel's sake. And also Emeralda's in the series also has a scar on her eye, which does kind of parallel how Emerald has, you know, one of her eyes is covered by her gem. So that's really interesting. And one final thing, just from this wiki entry alone, we can see that he also travels with a psychic alien. You know, her name is Mime, I believe. I'm not sure exactly because I've never heard it. But, you know, that could kind of be like one that they drew inspiration from, like Lars needed a psychic alien with him, which was Pataparasha. Of course, she is not very helpful because she only says things that already happened, but it's still psychic in a way, I suppose. So that was some background information about Harlock, and I am happy to report that Captain Harlock has yet to officially die in any series he has been in. So that might be some good news for Lars, but of course something else could still happen to him, and we can look at, you know, who Harlock is as a character to kind of find out what may be in store for Lars. So I've looked through several articles about him, and there is definitely a lot more to this character. To explain it quickly for a second, Harlock is an exile. It's a lifestyle of his own choosing, and what this means, he never intended to live a normal life or find somewhere to settle down with a house and wife and kids and all that. So I'm going to read off a portion about Harlock's exile. This was from a fan website called The Sea of Stars, which does a lot of really cool, it has a lot of really cool information about Harlock and analysis and all that. If you're interested in this character, I definitely give it a read, because I've read a couple of really cool articles on there. So let's begin. Harlock is an exile of the most heartrending kind. His is completely alone. Yes, this seems like a false statement at first. After all, doesn't he have a crew with him most of the time, as well as numerous friends scattered throughout the colonized universe? Yes, he does. And I don't mean to downplay their roles in his life or their struggles, but when one looks at the big picture, Harlock is genuinely alone in that there is no other person, except his best friend Tochiro, who keeps dying on him, who he can truly share his dreams and hopes with. Or rather, there is no person he wants to share his true dreams and hopes with. Harlock's exile is complex, and it is both a punishment and freely chosen state, one that he seeks as well as one that he wishes at times to leave. In both the original Space Pirate TV series and the Arcadia of My Youth film, Harlock is officially banished from Earth by both governing prime ministers under pain of death. However, it is just as easily arguable that Harlock would have turned his back on the collective patheticness of humanity and self-banished himself to avoid becoming like them, or at least to avoid living under their rule. He doesn't need anyone to tell him to leave. It's quite obvious that he can no longer remain there. By the time one prime minister gets around to publicly announcing his intentions, Harlock is already far from the planet, blasting off into the depths of space without waiting to learn that he is no longer welcomed or wanted. Yet, as disillusioned as he is, Harlock can't fully turn his back on humanity or completely abandon the Earth. In Harlock's world, individual countries and cultures have all become united and fused as one. You are either a human living on planet Earth or a human living on some colonized world somewhere in space. But Earth still remains a special place, a place even Harlock hopes will one day become beautiful again, with men living as true valiant men, not as slaves to alien races or cowards shackled by hedonistic lifestyles. In the end, Harlock defends and fights for the Earth, not so he can be acclaimed as a hero, be freed of his outlaw status, and settle down to a nice domestic life. He fights so his few friends can build a future and have a genuine life on the beautiful blue-green planet of their birth. Whether they want to or not, Harlock bids his comrades, Tadashi, Kei, Mayu, Rebi, Masu, Dr. Ben, Dr. Zero, Tetsuro, and others to leave his ship and help set things right again after much war and destruction has damaged the world. Planet Earth has been saved, but not for the captain. Deep down, Harlock knows that his way of life and his mode of living is abnormal, and that it cannot be shared by his other friends for too long. So he leaves them, for the Sea of Stars in his sea, and somewhere out there he will one day find his final resting place. So that was the end of one part of an article, and that was very deep. And, you know, from that, I do see some similarities between the two, that we could predict stuff for the future for Lars. And it is very possible that Lars might feel that he no longer belongs on Earth. He is an entirely different person now after his, first death. He's, completely pink not only, but he'll live forever, which is kind of a big thing for most Earthlings. His parents and Sadie, they will die eventually, so that makes him totally different from everyone else. So it's entirely possible he has a totally different worldview after he's been to Homeworld and he is now a captain. His new home will be his ship, and perhaps he will use it to do great things, to beat Homeworld or whatever, just do something against the enemy, as we have been seeing with the little clip that we got at San Diego Comic-Con. And this is much like Captain Harlock. But that's not all. There's like one more connection that I could possibly make, and that will make things a lot darker, so I'm sorry about this, but I just saw it and thought it was interesting and worth mentioning. And I do doubt any connection to this, but like I said, I do think maybe I should mention it because there are some similarities. So this is about a lady named Maya, who is Captain Harlock's only known love interest. Already, your mind might be racing immediately to Sadie. They both share blonde hair and are the love interests of our heroes, or potentially with Sadie. I mean, pretty sure it is because we've seen it multiple times. At least she really likes Lars. But besides that, they really couldn't be more different, so I do kind of doubt a connection. Because Maya is courageous and strong woman, much like Sadie, but there are some differences in their occupation and stuff. But with Harlock, because he is a space pirate, they are doomed to be apart. And something happens and she ends up dying in Harlock's arms. And to read some more from this article, it goes, Maya's loss marks the end of whatever hope Harlock had of living a normal domestic life on Earth like any other man. Banished from his home and hunted throughout the universe, the battleship Arcadia is all that Harlock has now. The only shield he could raise against those who seek to destroy him and his friends. The only thing that keeps him free. With Maya's handmade Skull and Bones Jolly Roger flag flying in the space breeze, Harlock takes the command of the Arcadia and enters the new and perhaps eternal stage of his life. The only stage we truly know him for. That of Captain Harlock, the space pirate. Captain Harlock the exile. Captain Harlock whose only home is the Sea of Stars. One life, one dream, one beautiful woman is dead, and the world is forever changed. This could be the breaking point for Harlock, the point where he either succumbs to despair or goes on a bloody suicidal revenge rampage, the Arcadian making the latter very easily, yet he does not. Instead, he simply promises Maya that he will never forget her and that he will never stop fighting. Now, okay, that was super dark, and I would be really surprised if Steven just went there for it because, Lars already kind of died once, and if we know that he's going away, something does need to probably happen, but it could just be that, he is immortal now, and so, space is his calling. We don't really know. But I don't really think this will happen. But even if something does happen to Sadie, he still has his parents on Earth, and even Steven, who love him. So that is kind of not a good enough reason for him to just kind of disappear from the show altogether like that. And of course, like I said, I kind of do doubt that he is going to leave forever or something like that, but it might need to happen because, like I said, he is now pink and immortal, and that might cause a lot of trouble, but who knows. Yes, he is an off-color and now is a captain of a ship, but he is also first and foremost a human, which he has lived for all of his life. So simply forgetting that would truly be sad, but Seniors does tend to go for sad things every once in a while. And with Lars going off on his own and, maybe Steven just checking up on him once in a while, Lars might be less of a recurring character in the show, but it might not be a sad ending after all. So with that ends this really long theory video. You may have noticed some fan art in the video and on the thumbnail, so I would like to give credit to these amazing artists who helped me out. First is Vince, who drew the awesome looking Captain Lars. Check out their art on their Tumblr, Vincenzo Nova. And as with many of my videos, a huge thank you to Kitsune Zakuro, who not only drew the mini Haileys, but also the stunning looking emerald. As always, her Tumblr will be linked down below. Of course, I couldn't end this video without giving a shout out to all my patrons. A new patron this month is Lynn. For a shout out or many other cool rewards, consider becoming a patron. Thanks for watching!